I was really tempted to discuss this, mainly because I am sorry. You've been working on this for 3 years? That's interesting. Somebody else has already released this product and you're very clearly stealing it from them.
This episode of Getting Table is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLE to get 5% off your first order over $100. ValhallaHobby.com. Please consider becoming a Patreon and supporting us for $2 a month.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you're all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 139 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello! Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode. We are here. We are back together. It's me, some loser, and of course the main man, Major Socks.
Hey, he got my name right, finally. I've been promoted, and I haven't been called City Socks. That's good.
I haven't called you
Yeah, but I'm
Silly
a
Socks
loser
for like
now,
a month.
apparently.
You haven't done anything wrong.
Yet. I know, right? No, it's good to be back. And we got George. George, what's the weather like up there in No Man's Land?
It was 85 degrees today.
Nice, balmy 85 then, huh?
With no humidity, so the swamp cooler was keeping the house in the 60s.
It's like
Yeah,
three
I'm
times
sure.
their average temperature.
It is.
Ugh.
It's been a very busy fortnight industry-wise. Surprisingly so,
Yes.
really, because you would think with Gen Con done, everything would start slowing down, but no,
Nope.
we've been fairly... There's been a fair amount of decent news going on.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
We got some Lego licensing happening again.
So,
Yeah.
this is arguably the most random piece of news that we're going to have today. This actually was announced very, very quietly. There's not a lot of people talking about this. But Lego have announced that Asmodee have joined them in a multi-year partnership to create Lego games. Despite what I thought until about 20 minutes ago, this is not the first time we've had Lego board games. But this is a very significant deal. Because this is multi-year. They have already announced what the first one is going to be. It's going to be a game called Monkey Palace, where you appear to be building a palace for monkeys. It looks like it's a bit of a balancing game by the look of it. It's going to be interesting to see what they're doing. It feels like this is going to be very much aimed at families with young children.
Yeah.
Which I don't think should really surprise anyone. As much as there is a lot of audience for Lego that is older, their target audience is very young.
The box art says ages 10 and up, 2 to 4 players, about 45 minutes a game.
Yep. On the news article, it says that they're already working on a second game called Brick Like This, which is a party game for 2 to 8 players. So that'll be interesting. Because
That one could be more adult-sized or adult-themed.
You would think so with the word party game, but not all party games are aimed at adults.
No, you're right.
Lego is
Do
also
you know what the
very,
one-
very careful about that sort. Like, they're very, very protective of how their IP is done.
Used. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what the really cool concept, though, about, a board game being based off of, or Lego as the base component? You lose a piece, go to the Lego store and buy some more.
Yep.
That is true. I don't remember who it was that shared this originally. Was it you, George, or was it one of the Patreons?
Probably wasn't me.
Okay, it must have been one
I
of
know
the
it wasn't me.
Patreons then. I don't remember. But the thing I find interesting about this, the very first thing I said when I saw the article was, oh, interesting. So one monopoly has licensed another monopoly.
Oh, I think we talked about it last episode, briefly.
No, the news article got shared with us just after we finished recording.
I do remember, like,
it wouldn't be on the
briefly
run
talking about it a
sheet if
couple
we
weeks
discussed
ago,
this already.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, but I do remember a couple weeks ago hearing about this.
Yeah.
Maybe it was me. I can't remember.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Like, if anybody that was going to do it, I mean, Asmodee is, sadly, I want to say, the largest party in town. Because
board games?
they've just...
Yes.
There's no question, like, they are the largest. They own everybody. They own more people than people realise they do. Asmodee is somewhat terrifying. They are the Disney of the board game world.
Yes.
Does Disney own them?
They earn their place in the market.
Yeah.
Disney doesn't own them, but some of their IP is run through Asmodee.
That's fair.
If anybody was going to do it, it was going to be Asmodee. Moving on, we have some Conquest news. We have a Halloween exclusive rather, for those that speak English, which is the Murderous Fish Gnome, which is just all kinds of cute. There's just nothing about this I don't like.
I don't know if cute's the word I would use, but it's very... it's a very non-threatening, threatening mini.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like a orca almost. Like, yes, there's great power wielded there, but there's a level of incompetence that, you don't worry about it too much.
I mean, it is a gnome, so...
With an eye sticking out of his hat.
Yeah. The sad thing about this is when I first looked at this article, my brain sat there for a good 2 or 3 minutes going, what on earth is MFG supposed to stand for? Because I was thinking of the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. I said, well, that doesn't make sense.
Oh.
But of course, it's just Murderous Fish Gnome. It's the name of the model. It was just, I felt really, really dumb. They also have another one, and this is, I think, my favourite, and by a large way.
I was going to say, it's kind of like BFG, Big Friendly Giant.
True. Must
something. Oh my god, go. I want this.
Oh, I want this so bad. I saw this, and my first thought is, okay, now give me a now give me a goblin army. And I want them on sharks and fish stuff. Like, let this become the teaser for a new army. That's what I want. I'm pretty sure that's not what it is, but that's what I want.
Do you know what this mini is missing?
A laser.
A freaking laser on his head.
Oh, it's got a laser eye.
No, that's an LED. Like, there's a cage around it to protect it and everything.
No, fair enough. I mean, the only issue I see with this is that, I mean, Conquest is a fantasy game, and this very much doesn't fit fantasy, other than his super high-tech spear. Nothing about this fits fantasy at all. But
well, and the normal fins are either covered in metal or been replaced.
Oh, they have been replaced. You can see the wound on its body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say by the infection, it looks replaced for sure. Part of the jaw's been replaced too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's been brought back to life, I would say. So both of these are releasing in September, end of September specifically. I just love this. It's so good.
It just needs a freaking laser on its head, man.
Yeah. I like this. I'm kind of hoping that something more comes of it. That's just how I feel. Oh, I just realized something. Down the bottom where it says Founders Exclusive, it actually is Flounders Exclusive. As in
it's
fish.
What?
Founders Exclusive down the bottom is what they call their like high-tech, like special limited edition minis. But this one is Flounders Exclusive because it's a fish. I like it.
Makes sense.
Shall we take a trip to the game store? Let's take a trip to the game store.
Blacksite Studios and their little quarter shop?
Yeah.
The game store.
The bloody Tyrant game store. It's glorious. It's just absolute perfection.
As always, it looks awesome.
Yep. Blackside Studios don't seem to be able to do anything wrong at this point. I mean, that's obviously not the case. Every company will do things wrong. But as far as their terrain is concerned,
As far as their
I really haven't
as far
seen
as their
them make a
terrain
mess.
goes, yeah, no, their terrain is 1,000% spot on every single time.
I love even the little tabletop miniature gaming tables that they have up on the second floor.
Yeah.
Right?
It feels really appropriate.
So, I do have one complaint actually about this now looking at it.
Yeah.
The sidewalk out front
Yeah.
where the lines come off the building at that diagonal, the way the squares like
Yeah.
I feel like that would have actually been done differently and more aesthetically looking.
It's possible. It depends on the town. I mean, Northwood is supposed to be kind of a lower economic thing. Northwood is where Don't Look Back is based.
I understand, but
I don't actually have a problem with it.
I do. I just,
I understand
seeing
why you
sidewalks
do.
and
I
stuff
just
like
don't
that.
agree.
It just that doesn't look like how they would do that.
Fair enough. The only downside I see with that is basically it means that all of your sidewalks have to come from the set, because that's not going to match anybody else's sidewalks. That's the only real issue I have.
That's
just not use them.
probably intentional too.
Oh, yeah, then that's fine. Everybody else does it. I really love this. I love everything about it. I love that it's a small corner game store. It's not some large thing. It's tiny. It's the sort of store that is arguably bigger than it on the inside than it is. Like, anybody that's coming here to play is going to have to fight for table space. It's a classic game store.
Yep. Even has a little vending machine on the second floor.
Yes.
Yep.
So I see one little bit of missed marketing they could have done too.
Is it the fact that there's nothing on the shelves?
There's no Blacksite Studio games on the shelves.
Yeah. I was going to say my only challenge to anybody that buys this is that you are required to fill those shelves with
Make
games.
your own. Yeah.
Oh, that would be so good.
And my challenge is to, like, in my head, I'm like, okay, fill it with Blacksite Studios games. But I think the answer to this is fill it with the games that you love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, so if someone is doing that, yes, fill it with your favorite games. Like make up your own little things. But if Blacksite Studios were to do it, like it's a missed marketing attempt of little tiny copies of their games to put on the shelf.
I mean, realistically, you would probably just do it with MDF squares, right?
Oh yeah.
The
little stickers on
only
'em.
issue would be the printing on them, because they would be tiny.
Just get yourself an adhesive sheet of paper or whatnot, and just print out the images at scale on the adhesive sheet, peel it off, stick it on the wood with glue, seal it with some lacquer or something like that, and I'd call that done. Like,
Yep.
it's terrain for the terrain. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I really like it.
I will say this also too: the detail on the gaming tables on the second floor is pretty astounding too.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's literally mats that they sell. Like, quite literally. The one on the right, at very least, is 100% a game is 100% a mat that they sell. I'm not 100% sure about the other one. I'm going to find out right now. Yep, they're both gaming mats that they sell.
Which makes sense because they already have the digital file for that, so just upload it into this thing when they do it to however big they make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all kinds of glorious. And to your point about the sidewalk, looking on the side here, you can actually remove the sidewalk. You don't have to use it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
Well, I guess that's both of our points, because it means that if you already have sidewalks from elsewhere, you can just make this fit by taking the sidewalk off. It's an optional sidewalk piece. Now, I really like this. It's a lot of fun. They actually
again,
previewed this a couple of days ago, and I'm like, put the thing up. And there was a link on the website that didn't work for a few days. I was like, I want to talk about this. Fix the link.
Yeah, it's Blacksite Studios terrain. I mean, it's it's going to be good. It's hard to screw that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Moving on to a story that we've covered once before. Half Tilt is now out in the wild for pre-order. This came from a Kickstarter that TT Combat did earlier this year. It's on preview for August 23rd. And Stocks and I's already discussed this before we started recording. We're both very impressed. More so now than what we was when we were first looking at it. The terrain in this is just glorious. I'm just going to open the 2-player starter set for the moment, just because. For £45, you're getting a full game, 5 miniatures aside. All of the miniatures are custom. It comes with the terrain for the game, including 2 tents, both of which are made from NDF. It's a game in a box. It's glorious.
Adjusting fence.
Yep.
So I just noticed this, and I don't know if it's a solid tribute or if a decision they made. But the 4th image on the 2-player set.
Yes. Oh, it's the Green Knight.
That looks like the Green Knight from not
Green Lady.
looks like, but it looks like it's the Green Knight from the Bretonnian army.
Well, Half Tilt. No, hang on. I need to word this correctly. Full Tilt is a game that I discovered existed about a year and a half ago. I'd watched a video on YouTube and I discussed about how I wanted to do this. It was a game that was originally made, Full Tilt, was originally made as like a 1-page game in a White Dwarf. It was one of those, we just made this to be fun, we're just going to throw it out there, do with it what you want. It's never been a product that existed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they have taken this and made it their own, but they've kind of taken this and made a full game out of it. I'm definitely not saying that, but I'm definitely saying that.
I love the 5th and 6th pictures where one of them has a chicken on top of his head and the other one has a duck on top of his head in a little nest on top of his crown or helmet.
Yeah.
Is that Sir Robin? Because his crest on his shield was a chicken.
Yep, it was.
Right,
these
Sir
are all-
Robin.
These are all wonderful. Like, they're all very much custom. Every one of these is a character in and of itself. I like the one with the pig on top as well.
Yeah.
So here's something I want to point out. If you go back out to the main page where it has everything listed.
Yep.
You've got the Duke, the Drunk Kathleen, the Fleur de Lis, whatever. The individuals, they're £8 each. You got
The
the
value
Scriven
in this is phenomenal.
Scriven and Bertha are like, £10. Like, but everything is like a very reasonable price. Yeah, for as the individual mini goes. It's not like, a certain company where it's like, here's a squad for 60. Oh, but here's your special character for 40.
Yeah. We may be talking about that later. There's a lot. I'm just scrolling through like the front here. Like, you can buy, like, if the 2-player starter set doesn't have the team that you want, you can buy the terrain separately, and it's only £12. It's not like, well, if you want to buy it separately, you can, but now we're going to charge you twice as much. So you either have to pay twice as much, or you have to buy 10 miniatures that you don't want. Hello, every other gaming company on the market.
An additional £6, you also get 2 additional tents, the bleachers, and the royal viewing area.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the $30 pound that comes with quite literally an entire stadium, including the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The castle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that castle is actually a dice tower.
It does look like a
dice tower.
tower.
It's a dice tower.
Does look like
it looks like 2, one on each tower.
It does look like a dual functioning dice tower.
Yep, it is. The bleach
That
is
is brilliant
displayed
because-
to your crowd, and the castle walls have a handy inbuilt dice roller.
For £30, that's not bad.
That
Louis?
is-
Whoever it is that designed that deserves a bonus.
Or at least a couple free rounds at the pub.
Yep. Maybe from
Yeah.
maybe from your brewery. I'd love to taste at one of your breweries one day if I'm ever over there.
I mean, I love some of the other the little, if you want to call them factions, the guys in the walruses, the guys in the camels. I mean,
Yeah.
these all look great.
Well, we've kind of just been browsing over everything. I'm going to kind of just open up a few of the actual teams. So I'm going to start with the Descent of the Shield Maidens, which is the walrus ones, which is a whole heap of shield maidens on walruses. It's exactly what it sounds like. And again, every single one of them is a unique character. We also
And you're
have...
getting 6 of these for the price of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And they're resin.
Yep. We also have Pride of the Sapphire Oasis, which are all on, like, this is very much an Arabian type feel. They're all on camels. All of these are halflings too. You will notice that they are all halflings because it's half tilt.
Well, Scribbit isn't.
I haven't got there yet.
I love the
talking about
drunk
ones
the
that's
drunk
on screen.
halfling. He's holding his jousting pole backwards.
Who are you talking about?
The drunk halfling. He's a single miniature.
Oh, I haven't got there yet. I'm looking at the teams.
Yeah.
We also have Craggy Bottom Heavy Pig Riders, one of which has wings.
When pigs fly.
Yep. And then Death March of the Little Blood, which is an undead team. Or at least halflings dressed up to look like undead team. Including a Blood Knight. Now, what's the name of the drunken one you were talking about?
The drunk
The
halfling.
drunk halfling.
Yep, got it. And what was the other one that you mentioned, George?
Scribbit and Mirtha. That is not a
The
halfling.
giant thing, right? Yep, there it is.
Yes.
So the the drunken halfling, yeah.
That's my spirit halfling right there.
What's he sitting on? Is it a llama? Oh no, it's
No,
just
it's a horse.
No, it's a horse. It's just because
It's a
wearing
horse.
that. Yeah.
His
But
helmet's on backwards.
I was going to say, his helmet is on backwards, too.
Oh, it is too. I didn't even notice that. That's actually really good. Scribbit, and the reason I was leaving this one till last is this is my favorite thing in the set. Because it's not a horse, it's a goblin that's riding a troll or a giant. It's an ogre, sorry. My
Ogre.
mistake. It's just all of this is glorious. And I haven't touched on it. Like, there's a lot that we're not talking about. There's Nessie that's riding a bear. Fleur de Lis we touched on already, which is like it's the most.
Calissa
French looking thing
Sandweaver
you've
is
ever
riding on a
seen.
raptor. Calissa Sandweaver is riding a raptor.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
You have Dan Rick's Bright Fingers. He's on a mountain goat with the big curly horns.
Yeah. Yeah, that Calissa looks awesome, too. The pose of that raptor looks kind of cool.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's actually a raptor, as we believe they are now.
Mhm.
The king on the griffin. And
Yeah,
I love the
Francois.
fact that there is a couple of different ways that you can buy this. Like I touched on, like you can just buy the 2-player starter set. It's a game in a box. It's a fairly well-priced game in a box too. But you can also buy the separate teams, and there's like 4 or 5 different ways of buying the terrain. Keeping in mind that realistically, you could also just build your own if you wanted to. In the case of something like this, where like realistically all you need is a piece of wood that's so long and a bit of a fence, it would really be very easy. But at this point, I actually kind of feel like it would be more trouble than it's worth. I would just buy it.
Yeah.
Because it's pre-made. I just glue it together and I put some flock down.
Yep.
Doing it myself is going to take arguably 10 times longer. And even if it does look better, I'm not sure it's going to look better enough that it would have been worth the time.
Well, and it looks like on the actual, if you look at, go back to any of the terrain, especially I clicked on the one with the full castle. It looks like there's actually squares, little spots as you're moving down each side that it's the fence.
Yes.
That they have markings out so that you know where your guys are supposed to be marching as they're moving down the fence line. And so that measuring that all out would be kind of a painstaking process too.
I will say this, as far as the terrain is concerned, if you're playing any fantasy game, I would argue that this is a castle that people need. I mean, let's be fair, it's a fort. Like, you would buy this and you would use it on a fort in any other game, because it's way too small to be a castle.
Not for a halfling.
No. But, I mean, it fits on any fantasy table, and it's a dice tower. Like, there's a small number of dice towers that are also terrain. And all of them should be bought all of the time. Chef's kiss on this. Also, just one last thing, we haven't really touched on them. For MDF, these tents look far nicer than they have any right to.
Yeah.
I think we may have said this on the initial Kickstarter when we learned that it was MDF. But they have no business looking that good.
Especially if the fleur-de-lis are actually cut out instead of just stickers. Because some of them look like they're...
It's probably just an engraving line, so it's like it's probably all flat, but there's just the engraving line. So that's probably easy enough to like just lay down some tape and like cut around it, and you've got it masked. And
yeah, I think George is right. I don't think they're cut out. I think that's just a decoration on the side. They're cut out of the fence. But no, those tents, those fleur-de-lis are decorations on the side. It's not cut out. All right, let's move on. There's this little company called Warcradle that Sox has never heard of.
No.
And they make this really cool looking thing called a Xenophon battle fleet.
Yeah, so this is one of their releases for coming out later this month for the Enlightened. They kind of been slowing down on releases for Dystopian Wars, which is understandable because they're trying to get Armored Clash out here shortly, and we'll be seeing some of those things here shortly. So yeah, this one looks kind of cool. Looks like a nice yacht-looking ship, I would say. With
it's very yachtish. Yeah,
laser orbs.
Yes, that's the thing about the Enlightened is they use these orb-looking laser weaponry. So it can be easily switched out with different orbs. But it does look really nice. Not bad either for, what am I at? Looking at $58. You're getting a Xenophon, 2 cruisers, 6 frigates, 2 SRS tokens. So not a bad price at all for
I like the painted examples. Like the painted examples make them look a lot more steampunky than they look before they're painted.
Yep.
Because they look very sci-fi, right up until the point where you've seen how they've painted them. Then like, oh, I get this now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, very oversimplified version. So, every steampunk has this technology that's made them go steampunk, right? The Enlightened consider themselves the Enlightened because they have embraced this technology fully and completely. And it's allowed them to become scientifically more advanced than most of the other parties that are either just kind of toying with it or avoiding it entirely, or like everybody has a different approach to it, essentially. Very, very, very oversimplified discussion of it. Largely based on my experience with Wild West Exodus, which is within the same world.
It is.
We also have what most people are going to look at and go, well, this is a boring story. But both of us agree that this is a good thing, right, Socks?
Yes, I do. For a while, they had the Gubbins box because there was only one way that you could buy additional dice. It was either buy another starter set or buy this thing they called the Gubbins box, which gave you more dice, maneuver tools, cards.
Tokens.
And now we finally are able to get their proprietary dice in a smaller, cheaper box set.
Yep.
When you could easily need 40 to 60 action dice, the white dice, easily in an army, depending on what weaponry and how much weaponry you're rolling all at once. And so the ability to buy additional sets of these, because I mean, plus they're 6 mil size too, and so every so often you may lose one of these, and so now you got
I assume
nice
you
way
mean
to
16 mil, not 6 mil.
or 16 mil. Yeah, sorry, not 6 mil, 16 mil.
Or is it 12 mil?
So I would
the big ones are 16. The little ones are 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say that it looks like sizes. First and foremost, if you're launching a game and you have proprietary dice, that has to be one of the things that you start selling day one.
Are you listening, Atomic Mass Games? Oh, no, sorry. No, it's not Atomic. No, they do it. Sorry, I'll take that back.
I mean, Dystopian Wars now is what, a couple years old, Socks, and they're just now doing
a few years. But yeah, like I said, they had it through the Gubbins box, but they're slowly. I think they're slowly.
I don't care if they had like through a Gubbins box or whatever. I don't want to go buy another box to get another set of dice. I don't want to buy another starter kit to get another set of dice.
Yeah.
So
the Gubbins
box was like, this is the rules for the game, essentially. And it wasn't overly expensive, but the problem is that if you wanted a second set of dice, you're having to buy a box with a heap of stuff that realistically you're probably not going to use. Because you only need one set of Gubbins per player.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Is, if I can't, from day one spend $13 to get a second set of dice, you're doing something wrong. Period.
Yeah.
So
this
is something
it's nice to see these coming back out because we will be seeing stuff like this for Armoured Clash as well. They've previewed their own dice sets in the video that we'll be seeing clips of, as well as their Command and Conquest card deck box.
Side note on this. This is £10 for a set of 26 dice. 2 different sizes. All of them are proprietary. As much as I will always sit here and have a problem with proprietary dice, granted, I understand why people use them. This is, I think, the best value proprietary dice set I've seen on the market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're getting 20 white dice.
It's much better than the Atomic Mass Games one. It's like double this, I want to say.
Yeah.
Well, even like just look at Games Workshop dice. They're not proprietary. And look how expensive they can run. So, yeah. Like I said, though, they should have had this available day one, though. Like, there's no excuse.
I agree.
Yep. We've also had some preview of some infantry.
Yes.
Which is lovely. The Federal Troopers for the Union. Which will never be this detailed, but I love the fact that they've gone into this much detail for the concept art.
Artwork. Yeah.
Really, really nice. Really, really nice artwork too, honestly. Like,
and then
basically they've shown off. Basically, what they've done is they've shown off uniform, essentially, a male version, female version of the uniform. You said scroll down.
There's we've got the next picture is their maneuver and objective token set that'll be coming in the box.
Yep, and it looks like they're doing the same way that they've done with previous, where they kind of click together.
Yep.
So am I to understand that the movement in this game is going to be similar to that as the Star Wars attack wing?
No, so this is just instead of having to use a measuring tape, they have a tool that if you want to use.
Oh, so you can't go by the very shoddy Chinese tape measure where it gains a 16th of an inch every inch.
Yes.
Realistically, this is also just a way, like, because every starter set kind of comes with a measuring tool, and they always include one of their own in hard plastic. It's just one of their things that they do.
Yeah, but this actually looks good.
Yeah, that's my point. This is in all of their starter sets.
Yeah. And it's nice that it goes out from 1 to 30 inches.
Yeah.
If you needed to. So
it's
based on how it's made and snapped together.
It's a much higher quality that comes with any of the Games Workshop ones, even in comparison to the Wacky Sticks. The Wacky Sticks have nothing on this.
Yeah. And then if we scroll down, we've got some Scion Grenadiers for the Imperium. So we're starting to get into the stuff that I'm getting excited for.
I love the fact that the mustache is part of the uniform. Mustaches are clearly mandatory for the Imperium.
Yes. And
also, I didn't say this on the last one, but that was obviously a joke. I like the fact that they're also showing the clothes just by themselves, not just on people.
Mm-hmm. And then if you scroll down past all the rule stuff that they're announcing, there's a couple of pictures of some older Dystopian Legion stuff. That was the Spartan era land. We've got some French Legionnaires.
Yep, found them. Oh, I like that gun. That gun's cool. Even if it's being loaded the wrong way.
Yes.
Guns loaded from the side will always look wrong to me.
And then down even further, we got the Empire's Green Banner pies.
Ooh. Ooh, I like that. See, in a steampunky type world or anything, or a diesel punky type world or anything like that, I know that this isn't diesel punk, I'm just saying, armor doesn't have to make sense. Like, this armor makes no damn sense.
Makes sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. That helmet is ridiculous, but that's why I like it.
Well, especially since the eye slits are in the middle of the helmet because of how low it comes down on.
Yeah. This is
they look like
glorious.
they're slightly better positioned than Stormtrooper eye holes, so.
True.
And then we have the crown. We got the rifles platoon for the crown. Well, you see some of these painted up if we scroll through some of the videos, pictures. And then we have the Commonwealth.
That looks like your proper Victorian British explorer right there, the rifles platoon.
Yes.
The crown.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just saw this. They actually have the legitimate, the actual emblem of the East India Trading Company.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's well spotted. Yes.
Yeah, right there on the center.
Yep.
Of their straps. Yep.
And I'm just going to say this right now. I love the Riadovoy.
Yeah, for the Commonwealth.
Commonwealth ones are great.
Big, huge Russian fur hats.
Yep.
Isn't that the Cossack hat?
Yeah, the Cossack hats.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. Yep.
And then we have some Janissary troopers for the Sultanate, which I love the female with the hawk.
Yep. I love the headdress. I like it when something traditional is twisted into like something fictional.
Ooh.
Where it's like it kind of it makes sense evolutionary. Ooh, I think I just found my favorite.
The big drill.
The Covenant Citizen Soldier for the Enlightened.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
I really, really like Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander's troopers look great.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So we've seen
that's what this is. This is Cobra.
Yeah. So we've seen all the 8 factions in terms of what their soldiers for their infantry brigades, if you want to call them, are going to look like potentially, because the crown look just like theirs. We've seen some of theirs painted off already and shown at UK Games Expo. and
Yep.
so same with some of the empires, and so it's nice to see what we may get in terms of their normal soldiers.
Yeah.
For the
Again,
various brigades.
this game is going to be epic scale, so if you're
10
unaware,
mil.
it means that they're really tiny. You're never going to get this sort of detail in a 10mm scale. It's not physically possible. But I love the fact that they've gone to this amount of detail, because for some people, the lore and the art is more important than the miniature.
Yeah.
And just because you can't get that sort of detail doesn't mean that people aren't going to try and get it in their painting.
Yeah. If we scroll up to the picture just above the Covenant citizen shoulders, we'll see some Union armored vehicles as well as a Commonwealth drill that they're planning on potentially bringing out in the future as well. So
I love the drill. I am on
reminds me
record,
of,
like the drill for the Resistance has always been one of my favorite miniatures, and it just
The Resisti.
Yep. The idea of a drill vehicle has been one of my favorite ideas ever since the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Realistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I love it. I don't care that it doesn't make sense. It's just fun.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more pictures as things come out, because the game is supposed to be releasing here shortly, hopefully. So, which we did get an interview from on Tabletop.
Yep.
Which
Who's
did
owned
show off
by
some.
Wayland.
Yep.
Hence why they get the exclusives. I make this comment. I'm not actually saying that I'm a huge fan of this company and the people behind it on Tabletop. If you're not following them, you really, really should. They do a lot of work for the tabletop hobby community. Not just their own supporters, but the tabletop hobby as a whole arguably wouldn't be the size that it is today without people like this. On Tabletop is arguably the biggest community space for hobby on the internet. I would highly recommend joining the website if you haven't already. You don't have to join as a paid member, but I would recommend joining it. It's just, it is that good.
Yeah. So throughout the video, I watched this already, and they talk about what's coming out for the Crown of the Empire and the 2-player starter set and stuff like that. But they have some video or some screenshots. So about the 640 mark, they show off a big, huge artillery piece, the Mordred heavy artillery, which just looks awesome. This is all Crown stuff because they're talking primarily about the Crown, but they talked a little bit about the starter set that's coming out, the 2-player starter set. And then at the 709 mark, we have some Automata cavalry.
709. Ooh. No, go back. So he would get a good example of like the sort of detail that you can expect, because again, this is really tiny.
Yeah,
you still got some really nice detail in there. You can't get the sort of detail that you will from the artwork, but there's some really nice detail there.
Yeah, so if you go to 814, they've got some Spitfire Rocketeers, which again shows off a good example of some of the detail you expect from the
yeah, absolutely,
the actual humans.
Yeah, and these guys look cool too with the little rocket packs or.
Yeah. The Galahad Breacher is nice. I really love the look of this tank. And then at 10:11, we get kind of a little preview of an army on a tabletop.
Yeah, these are the shots that we saw from UK Games Expo. And then at 12:37, we got a Black Watch heavy dragoon, so guy inside of a robot. They did say that some of the concepts from Dystopian Wars are going to kind of bleed in a little bit. So Dystopian Wars,
you would expect that.
The Crown have shield generators that kind of help project a shield bubble around their ships. You can kind of see this on the right-hand side of the picture where you got a small little shield generator of some sort protecting the dragoon. So they did say that there are going to be some things you're going to cross over a little bit, but not everything, which is understandable. It's a totally different concept of the game.
Yeah, Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they're all based within the same world, so you
Yep.
are going to expect certain things to carry over. If they weren't doing that, I would be questioning their business sense, quite frankly. Like, because you don't reinvent the wheel. And then it continues on, like, kind of showing, like, it goes through the terrain that we praised initially, and I take nothing back. The terrain looks phenomenal. And then they show off the 2-player starter set. They give you an idea of what comes in it. The Sovereign Landship looks phenomenal.
I love the Mortal Engines the feel of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And they say that if you and a friend want to buy the 2-player starter set, go ahead because you'll get a good sized army with it. But then if you want to add on to it, they've designed the sprues so that I think they said there's 41 different ways you could build stuff off the sprues that you're going to get. Yeah, they've designed it very well that they could to build different variants and build a total of 41 different styles depending on how you wanted to build stuff.
Yeah,
or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a large number. Variety.
I'm definitely watching this space as far as this game is concerned.
I will definitely be getting it because the Imperium, they said, is supposed to be coming out. They're hoping early next year. And if that is the case, I will definitely be getting some of that. And then I'll be getting Sultanate later once that comes out too. So,
Chris, I need to know if you're getting this or not. Because you're probably the only person in my area that I know of that I would play with, as far as this is concerned. Especially given that we live near each other again. I need to know if you're getting this. And I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah, no, this looks glorious.
Yeah, and then at 1612, it shows the rule book. And then, like I said, the Command and Conquest deck and the dice set you'll get separately if you need to. So, but definitely looking forward to this game coming out.
Yep. No, they've done really nicely. This looks really good. Interesting that everything's being released, because we kind of touched earlier on, like, because normally they do a Gubbins set. And I am a big fan of the Gubbins box. I actually think it makes a lot of sense. It looks like they're choosing not to do one for this. They're just selling them separately. Which on one point means that, yes, things are more affordable because you can only buy what you need. If your Command and Conquest deck gets kind of ruined, you can just buy a new deck without having to buy new dice and everything. But it also kind of means that now you have to go out and you have to buy 3 different boxes. It probably means that they can help them with their profits a little, because you can kind of... But it also means that they're adding on, because each of these has a box that has to be designed and printed. So it's adding to their... what they have to keep in stock type stuff as well. So
yeah,
it's certainly an interesting choice. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I think I would have preferred a Gubbins box personally, but I think the benefits of being able to buy this stuff separately outweigh the convenience of the Gubbins box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on. Games Workshop are doing a new edition of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. This is an interesting choice. Like, this is either going to go one of two ways. Every time you get a new edition for a game, you either get people that are very excited or you get people that are very upset. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. This is one of those games that has a very strong, passionate fan base.
I'm going to say it's not going to go well, just because it is a finite intellectual property. Like, it's established, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's,
new edition is more about the rules than new models, though.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's established. Like, the world is only so big. The game has been around for quite a while. I don't see how they could improve it
in terms of models.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Like, there's quite a few things here that's being previewed and stuff. It looks like that they've got plans for renewing a whole heap of models. But it's going to be interesting to see. So it seems they're kind of focusing on the War of the Rohirrim movie, which is, and it's a new movie that's coming, which makes me extremely nervous because you shouldn't be getting new movies from this franchise. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Rewriting this rule set is an extremely risky proposition because, again, very passionate fan base that kept this game living despite almost no attention for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
This is still very active in the tournament scene, regardless of releases a lot of the time. It's remained popular. It's kind of bucked the trend, because normally when a game company stops doing constant releases, a game tends to teeter off, and that just never really seemed to happen with Lord of the Rings, which is nice, especially for them. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm not sitting here having a go. I'm just acknowledging that this is going to be, it's a risky proposition. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. That's all I'm saying. We also have my first love. The Blood Angels are getting brand new codex and army box. And I'm just going to say this now. I love the look of this army box. The army box, I think, looks phenomenal. We're getting a new Lamatis, which is desperately needed. The old Lamatis is very old. We are finally getting a new Astarath. I have said on this podcast a number of times how bad that old Astarath is, to the point where if you buy the resin version of the model, you only have to breathe closely to it for the axe to shatter, because the handle is so brittle, because it was designed as a metal miniature and just doesn't hold up. Which was disappointing, because it was also one of the best looking miniatures for the army. I don't like the face sculpt on this one, but I have a feeling that that's actually the painting, not the miniature itself. I don't think the light is being very kind to that face paint. It also looks like it's a mask more so than anything else.
Yeah, it is definitely a mask. I think they've tried to go way too far on the pale vampire face, which is why it looks the way it does. It seems to be
a death mask, which is interesting, because Astarath... Yeah. Astarath is one of those characters where in the past people always argued whether it was a mask or not. That is very clearly a mask. There's no question about that at all now. We also have some new Death Company. Death Company Intercessors. Are they actually new? I think this is the same Death Company that we've already had. And then you get a preview of the upcoming.
Some of the bare faces look very vampiric.
True. And we get a preview box set. That's an upgrade sprue, which is what comes with them anyway. And then we get what I had predicted, which is a new Death Company Dreadnought. I'm kind of hoping that this can be built in multiple ways, because I would like to keep the Librarian Dreadnought and the regular.
I will say this from the Redemptor Dreadnought that I've got for my Space Wolves. This Dreadnought kit is just as, if not more, inclined for magnetization and loadout changes than the original Dreadnought model was. So,
controversial opinion. I have absolutely no problem with the fact that they discontinued the old box Dreadnought. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I know that there was a lot of people very angry over that. Honestly, I think it's fine. The new Redemptor Dreadnought looks much better. And I do mean better.
You know, and it goes back to the whole, them lying to us of, oh no, Firstborn aren't going anywhere. There's
Yeah.
nothing going to happen. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to stay the same.
That is true.
And then until it wasn't.
Yep.
And so and it's what you just said, 5 minutes ago. If they don't release stuff, the game starts to go away. And that's what they've done. And unfortunately, they did it in a very, I would say,
Deceptive
almost
manner.
dishonest, deceptive. That's a better word.
Yep.
So my only hope
And I say
is
deceptive because they said that initial promise knowing that they wasn't going to keep it.
Yeah.
Games Workshop plans in advance a
decade.
very long time. Now, I could be wrong on this. I don't know that they planned it.
Yeah.
But there's no way they ever intended to keep them forever. This isn't a matter of, this is the end game and the game is now dead. Oh, why did you kill the game on us? Well, we told you we're doing that 12 months ago. This is literally saying one thing and doing another. Like, as far as the box Dreadnought itself is concerned, I have no problem with it going away. Everybody owns 500 of them. I'm exaggerating, obviously. Like, people that wanted them already had them.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. But the conversation about they promised one thing and did another is, 100% legitimate. At the end of this article, we get a preview of the only part of this article that annoys me and angers me greatly, which is them once again using exactly the same art for a new codex.
Mm-hmm.
This pisses me off. It's lazy. When you've got a company that's charging the amount of money for this book that they are going to, this is completely unacceptable. And the fact that they're doing it on the regular and being allowed to get away with it is disgusting. Their fan base worship the ground that they stand on to the point of insanity.
Bruce, let me just say this caveat. At least they're still using their own actual artwork that's made by actual artists, unlike another company that has unshockingly done something other than that now. So,
Talk about AI.
huh?
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah. Mythic, Mythic going with AI for their last remaining projects they're still trying to get done.
Yep. No, 100%. It's just like they pay that many artists and don't give those artists credit for their work. And then on top of it, you're getting books released one after the other without updating the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's pathetic and it's lazy for a company of this size that overcharges in the manner that it does, and now they're going to overcharge for a book that's only been half done. The first limited edition one is really pretty.
Oh yeah.
Now, granted,
It's
I
limited
understand.
edition, so
yes, there's different artwork, but the limited edition just used to be a nicer version of the new artwork, where you would get the full page rather than it being covered in logos. I don't know why they couldn't have done that with this. It wouldn't have made the limited edition one look any less.
yeah.
I don't know. More Blood Angels. We're getting a new Sanguinor, which has pretty much been the number one thing most people have expected. This has been rumoured for 12 months at this point that we were going to get a new Sanguinor, because it was kind of teased at one point. Interestingly, they're teasing it as if it is actually the Sanguinius, sort of. The Golden Host arrives, because in the lore, people believe that it really is Sanguinius. Better than the original. I am just going to say that. This is better than the original.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Is that transfers on the banners that are making him fly, or did someone legitimately take the time and hand paint that out? Because oh my god, if they did.
Given that this is Games Workshop, I am going to say that's hand painted. And in the case of that, there's a little red rectangle with clear blood droplets in the middle of it. That is definitely hand painted.
Yeah, I'm just that right there is just stunning. Yes, I know it's a showcase model for the photographs to show it off and everything, but my God, that is just absolutely amazing.
It may be used with those acrylic paint pens. A bit easier.
Now that's
True. You'd have to have a
Easier to
really
do than
fine
with the
tip on it,
brush.
though.
There are some really fine tips out there.
Okay. We also get a preview of the new Sanguinary Guard, which is nice. They kind of feel a little bit chunky. I think it might be bad photography again. Because in the next picture, they don't look big and chunky like that. They look properly portioned. I think these pictures have been squashed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like really, really lovely looking. Like the Sanguinary Guard were probably the best looking kit that they had for the Blood Angels, but obviously needed to be updated because everything needs to be Primaris now.
So what I will say, and I've seen people making fun of it, the little wings coming off the jump packs.
Yeah.
And one of the best poking fun at this, people are comparing this to the caterpillar from A Bug's Life. At the end, when he had the tiny little butterfly wings, but he was still the giant fat caterpillar.
Oh yes. I don't think Bruce has seen the movie.
Oh, I have. I just had a thought about something else, and I'm just looking it up very quickly.
Okay.
Because...
No, it is a good comparison.
Oh, 100% it is. I want to look at... Give me a look. I want to look at the old version of the kit. Because they used to have a more unique jetpack. They've lost their... They had the single jetpack. And they've lost that. They had the best looking jetpack in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just have the same one as everybody
ones.
else. That is a massive, massive downgrade. That is, yeah, I didn't even notice that at first. I'm actually disappointed on that now. They used to have the same one that Sanguine was wearing. Well,
I was going to say, and there's no excuse for them not having that because they've obviously sculpted it.
Yeah.
Since
realistically, if you have old Sanguinary Guard, I mean, you can't buy the new ones anymore, but if you have the old Sanguinary Guard, you can probably reuse them because the jetpacks, generally speaking, tend to be in the right scale. But, oh, that's upsetting as a Blood Angel player. I hadn't noticed that at first, but it's, yeah, I can't not see that now. It's just copy and paste. It just makes it look lazy.
Yep. Can we go talk about the Kill Team box? It's got some miniatures I'm excited about to look about.
I will say this. So this preview happened last night. This happened last night. And it was advertised as a preview, and there was one thing that was teased about the preview, which is the Kill Team, which is the only thing that they discussed. It was a 30-minute video talking about one box. I was massively disappointed when I woke up this morning. But yes, Hive Storm is happening. George, I'm going to let you talk about what you want to talk about first, because I'm curious which it is.
Well, so I'm not going to talk about what I want to talk about first because they come second in the list. The guard troops, they look stunning, and great. Like that little gun that you see in the video that drops down, like the servo sentry as it's called.
Yeah.
That thing looks freaking cool. But like the Tempestor, like the gunner and marksman, the precursor, like they all look so good.
I like watching the cinematic trailer. The cinematic trailer is probably the first time I was excited for both sides of a Kill Team box for a long time. But when I saw the minis, honestly, the Scions just look the same as the old ones to me. I mean, there are differences, but I'm not excited for the Scions at all. It just feels like the same Scions that we already have. Sort of. They're different. I just don't think they look different enough.
Yeah. I mean,
the gun is cool. I will agree with you on that. The gun is cool.
I mean, it is just guard. I mean, there's only so much you can do with guard because,
Yeah.
They are just normal humans. So, what I'm really excited for, and a lot of Tau players, should be excited about this because those Vespids, that is probably one of the best glow ups I've seen from the original model 15 years ago to this. Wow, these look so good.
Yeah. I have said a number of times how many that I would love to paint up some monstrous looking wasps. And that is basically what I can do with this. I will say this. The ones without the helmets are far better looking than the one with the helmet. I desperately hope that you can build all of them without that helmet. Because they just look so much better without it. That's just my opinion,
But if you look up the original Vespid Stinglings...
Oh yeah, no, that doesn't even compare.
Versus to what these are. Oh, it's so good. Socks, you Google original Vespid Stingwing, and then look at these and tell me this is not one of the best glow-ups ever. Like to put this in mainstream terms, the Vespids have Nevilled.
Yeah, the new ones do look better.
Oh, the
have you never heard that term, Bruce?
I have never heard that at all.
So Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom in the first
that's
movie.
Why I've never heard of it. Then I'm not a Harry Potter person. You know this.
Okay, you're a horrible human then.
No, I'm not. I just don't like Harry Potter.
But
they
look so great though.
Chef's kiss. Like seriously. I think the Vespid is the best thing they've done since the Kroot. Personally.
I'm going to have to put him at number 2. So the Kroot would be 3, these would be 2. Number 1 of the best things they've done recently. It's still going to have to be the Leagues of Votann for me.
That's fair. Wait, Leagues of Votann was before this.
Right, but I'm saying like of things they've done recently. Votann's
what I
still recent
said was
in my opinion.
Since the Kroot.
Oh, since the Kroot, gotcha. Okay.
That was like 2 years ago.
Whatever.
Moving on further down the page, we get a preview of the terrain that comes with it. It is a really nice looking set of terrain. Obviously, it's set up to be modular like previously. It's a really nice, complete looking table. Unfortunately, that does mean that this is going to be one of those really stupidly expensive boxes, though. So if you don't want the terrain, you're gonna want to wait for the armies to come out separately. In saying that, I really like the upgrades and accessories. The smoke bombs in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen them done before. Certainly not like that, and it's magnificent.
Yeah,
that's a really cool idea.
That's the actual like use of how those work in the real world for covered concealment. I mean,
yeah. It's really, really nice. Like, you've got a ladder that's very clearly meant to be separate. There's movable barbed wire. You've got the same lazy terrain wall things that I hated in the original set that seem to just be there because they're there. And it looks like they've redesigned the movement template to just be prettier. Because it's now filled with skulls.
Yeah, my only complaint is the terrain for the game board. It's just more Plastic Games Workshop terrain.
Yeah, it's the same as everything else, yeah. It does look nice, and if you don't have it, then sure. But, I mean, the previous box set, they released specifically so that the terrain was separate, so that people that didn't want the terrain didn't have to buy the terrain. And I do this because that's not why they did it. They actually did it so they can make more money. But they've gone straight back to doing it again, which clearly proves that what they did last time wasn't why they did it at all.
Yeah. But holy cow,
am
the sting wings.
100%. But the sting wings I am buying, but I will be buying them later. I will
Yeah.
not be buying the. I know Brother Bear is really excited for the Tempestus Aquilons because he liked the video. He got really excited for those, so I know he's very keen for those. I believe his words were, and I'm going to censor this. Darn it! Now I want more Scions. Why did they have to do this to me? But yeah, I just think this is. I think this is a very strong win. In Australia, we're probably looking at minimum $400 for this box. It is going to be one of those boxes, unfortunately. Probably $280 for you guys. Would be my guess.
Probably $250.
$280. What are they normally? They're normally $250, right?
I don't know. I've never looked at the price of a Kill Team box.
Moving on. We haven't touched on some Night Models stuff for a while. And given that the Game of Thrones stuff is up for pre-order, I thought it was probably worth having a look at. The Eddard Stark Mini on the front is a pre-order bonus. And this is where I'm reminded of how much I hate this website. Because once you click on something and it goes down, you can't go back up again. So, 2-player starter set, seemingly coming with everybody that was really important from the first series of the game. Well, first series, but comes with some ruins, fairly generic looking ruins, which is fine because it's all you expect. It looks like it's card terrain, which again is fine. And it appears to be Stark versus Lannister, which again is probably what you expect.
Here's my shocked face.
Yep. On it, I think it looks fine. I will make the same comment for this that I have made in other previous Night Model stories. If you're buying anything from them, make sure everything's in the box, and if it's not in the box, make sure they fix it. Night Models have some of the worst quality
Packaging.
control in the industry. To the point where it is why I don't talk about them very often. They are not very reliable as a company. And now we look at the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because, oh god, these White Walkers look nice.
Absolutely.
This is the reason I wanted to discuss them, was these miniatures. Specifically, the Giant is phenomenal. The Night King looks good as well. But these are just glorious. And genuinely, these look like they come from the show.
Yeah, everything is how it appeared in the show. I mean, let's be honest. Eddard Stark, that's Sean Bean. There's no question about it. There's no pretending otherwise.
Which means that they've actually paid for likenesses. Like Cersei, that looks like Cersei. Well,
It looks like half Thor. I mean,
Rob looks like Rob. Like that, they've very clearly paid for likenesses here.
They've paid a lot of money.
Jaime's probably the weakest from that regard. I can't even think what the actor's name is, but that doesn't look like his face.
Who? For Robb Stark?
No, Jaime Lannister. It could be the painting.
It's pretty close. Yeah, it's. I mean, there is a striking resemblance. It's not like Sean Bean or the others for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, Caitlin is spot on as well.
Yeah.
We also get the Wolf Pack, which is the kids, including the best character in the entire show, Hodor.
Hodor.
Anybody else cry during that episode? I did.
Absolutely. On a side note,
I suspect that Sox hasn't seen it. On a side note,
On a side note, there may be a skip in the audio, but I got to see Hodor perform at the university here in Wyoming.
Oh,
Christian
cool.
Nard. Yeah, I got to go. He was traveling around doing a bunch of free shows after his filming time was up, so I got a chance to go see him perform live.
What sort of
I
things
could not
was he
hear
performing?
He's a DJ,
Okay.
so I could not hear for 2 days afterwards, but
I think that's worth keeping in. Again, all of these are spot on. Like, sculpting wise, Night models are right up there. Arya's probably the weakest there, but I think that's actually the painting, not the sculpting by the look of it.
I was gonna say I think that Arya mini looks frickin' amazing. Yeah, look at the box set. I think
Sansa's the best looking miniature there as far as likeness is concerned. Oh, no,
well, yeah.
No, it's Hodor. Hodor is number one.
But I think as far as like the overall look of the mini, I think Arya is the best looking mini. It's such an action pose.
Oh
and
no,
it's
as a
like,
mini, yes. I'm just talking about likenesses. The likeness is
Yeah.
off. But I think it's the painting. I don't think it's actually the sculpt. The sculpt itself looks fine. I think it's painted weird, or it's lighted weird. There's something off about the picture.
yeah.
I think there's too much light, and it's making it look weird. I don't know. And then finally, everybody's favourite character, Joffrey. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. Joffrey
Yeah.
is all kinds of just nasty. And you've got the Hound, who looks as he should. Bronn, sorry. And then finally, the best character in the show. The bastard.
No, he's not a bastard.
No, I know he's not literally a bastard. I'm calling him a bastard because he is a bastard in the show.
No, because his last name is Lannister, therefore he was not. And if you're gonna
I'm not
if you're gonna
calling
say that,
him
Bruce,
a bastard. I'm talking about his character, how the character acts in the show. He is a prick.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. He was not a prick.
He was
Ramsay
all the
Bolton
time
was a prick.
on purpose.
No, Ramsay Bolton was a prick.
True.
Joffrey was a prick. No, Tyrion was actually one of the guys that was actually like trying to stop massive bloodshed. And
Yeah.
maybe he did some shady things, but he was actually trying to do something good.
The fact that he wasn't a nice guy was the best part of the character, though, is my point.
Hey, do you know what happens to the nice guys in those shows? In that show? In
Yes,
the book?
they all get killed.
They die.
Yeah.
They die. So yeah, no, if he was a nice guy, he'd be dead in the first episode.
You do realise that none of what I'm saying here is actually a knock on the character. I literally said I'm a fan of the character.
Yeah, but calling his character that is still a disservice to the character.
Fine. Night models have knocked this out of the park. It's looking really, really good. Now, obviously, we don't know what the game itself is like at this stage. And again, as I've said a few minutes ago, if you buy anything from this company, make sure everything is in the box. And if it's not, chase them until you get it. This is one of the most unreliable quality control companies in the industry. And have been for 10 to 15 years. Again, it's the reason why we don't talk about them very often. But quality of the miniatures wise, I wanted to cover this because it just felt too good not to cover it.
Just even if we just talked about the White Walkers alone.
Oh yeah, the White Walkers are phenomenal. But let's move away for some miniatures, and we will talk about a Kickstarter that's coming up that instantly makes me go. So this
Did
is
we
a
already do this
Kickstarter.
one?
This is a Kickstarter that's being flaunted all over Facebook advertisements at the moment. It hasn't actually gone live yet. It's called Judo Grid. It's a modular display system. And George is hinting at something I'm going to get to in a minute. So we're just looking at this. Like, it's a miniature display thing. There is actually pictures that they show off elsewhere, but also like you can actually store your paints in there, and like there's ways of displaying actual like tabletop cards and stuff. Like if you're someone that has a collection of like graded cards and stuff, they have stuff in that for displaying those. So they're trying to make it a far more modular set than what we've seen in the past. But here is what George is hinting at. Who remembers the Omni?
I backed the Omni, so yes, I remember it very well.
So somebody reworking somebody else's sculpt is not entirely new in 3D printing. It happens all the time. But generally the law around that is supposed to be that you can't make money on it. Now, according to their Facebook ads, this has been 3 years in the making, according to them. And if that's the case, why does all of their product look like it's been ripped off from the Omni, but with less detail?
Well, so here's the thing with copyrights, right? So I can't go make a clone of a Space Marine and sell it and get away with it. I have to at least make, correct me if I'm wrong, 10% of a change. Make it 10% different.
It would depend on the
And
country
then
too, I suspect.
I'm okay, so I'm going off of U.S. law then.
I
But
don't
it
know
has
what
to
to
be
say.
a 10% difference in order for it to be considered its own unique product. So, and while yes, like, because I'm pulling up my, because I backed it, so it's in my backing history.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the same how the Omni case goes together versus how the Judo Grid goes together, and while it looks the same, there is just enough different to where I'm fairly certain they made it just enough changes to just be like, no, this is different. This is not the same thing.
Look, at the end of the
so-
day, these guys will probably make money hand over fist because
yeah,
because of course they will. It's just like how there's been 5 different versions of the 3D printed miniature cases in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
All of which are ripping off the first one that we covered
for sure.
12 months ago. Like, all of them are ripping that one off. None of them have made their own product. To the point where some of them are literally just his product with a new name on it.
Yeah. So
It uses the same miniature holding technique, the same everything that he designed.
yeah, the thing I'll say is too is and you're going to see a lot of this in the in the
It's only going to get worse.
the headspace because I'm just gonna Omni case, right? What physical product did they actually produce? None. It was just some digital files.
Yeah.
Digital files you can copy paste, and then you have 2 digital files, and keep doing that. And it's so you just make one thing and push it out to people. They made $500,000 to design some digital files and not make an actual physical product.
Yeah.
Based off that success, you're going to get people like, Judo Grid and whoever else taking the file, manipulate it to make it different so they can't have that legal issue and try to do the same thing to make, a few $1,000s, for little to no work.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't actually have to make a physical product, like they're saying, here's the files, go get your own printer and do it. We're not doing that for you.
Yep.
So,
to the point where I was even looking at the wrong one to begin with anyway. But it doesn't matter. It's just it's becoming extremely common. And I just find it really frustrating that these people will steal product, change. The only thing that's different in this is they've changed the corners. That's the only difference I can find.
Sorry, look at
the grid on the back is different too. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and look at the way like the Omni case goes together versus this Judo grid. The Omni case requires you to go to your local True Value Ace, whatever hardware store where you can go buy nuts and bolts to put the case together.
Yeah, no, that is fair.
Where
that is actually a good point. Yeah.
So, is this a knockoff? Absolutely. Have they done enough to make it their own? Yeah, I kind of think so. But again,
you know what?
I wouldn't say this is an original idea.
No, but the fact that it interlocks together in and of itself, A, makes it harder to 3D print, but B, means I'm taking back my rip-off comment. It's not a rip-off. It is its own thing. Like it or not, like that they have actually done enough work. I agree. They've done enough work for this to be their own thing.
They definitely took the idea of like, oh hey, these people made this, but if we do this, this, and this, it's better, I think, and then we also don't get sued by this other company because it's different enough that it's not theirs. So, yeah. I think your first statement is still mostly valid. It's a 50-50. Yes, they took the idea, but they did put in some work and effort to make it their own.
Yeah.
But it's still, like when I look at this, it's still the Omni case. Yeah. It'll be really interesting to see because, like, Omni case, they had all like the dwarf and the sci-fi and all the themes. What are these guys? If it's just this, they haven't put in the work nearly. If they do the same thing, that's getting a little more sketch then too.
Yeah. All right. Our last news story of the day: the Great Wargaming Survey is out for 2024. This is something that happens every year, and every year we mention it because this is something that everybody that games in this industry should be filling this out. I've already done mine at this point. I did mine a week ago, I think. Yes, there is prizes you can win. That's kind of beside the point. But this it follows the trends of the industry, what is popular, what people are actually spending, where they're spending their money. It's done by one of the larger magazines, like third-party magazines out there. But done by the people that do the War Games, Soldiers and Strategy magazine, which is one of the bigger ones. I would highly recommend everybody fill this out. Give them a complete show of what the industry is actually doing, especially if you're someone that plays stuff that's more than just Games Workshop. Because that's probably the biggest piece of the puzzle that needs to be seen. Not that I'm telling you not to fill this out if all you do is Games Workshop. Like, fill this out. It's 5 to 10 minutes of your time. All of it is relevant. And they are literally asking for your opinion and what you do in the industry. So, how much do you spend per month on the hobby, for example? Where do you spend that money? Do you spend it in fantasy, sci-fi, something else? Is it more board games, tabletop games, so on and so forth? I would highly recommend filling it out. It's something that I think is very important. So, that's it for the news.
There's a very dangerous question here that, because I'm going through it. Do you track how much you spend on this hobby? No, I do not. Because I don't want to know how much I spend on this.
I usually guess to some extent. I'm pretty good. Largely because I've had to be. And yeah, not all of this is... Like, there are some questions that you don't actually have to answer.
Sure. Yeah, there's already one
you
that I
don't
was just
have
like,
to say how old you are and stuff. But you do have to answer the ones about the actual industry.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
So, I like this one, actually.
You like this one?
I
At
do.
first glance,
Uh,
this is something that should be really boring, right? It's not.
a-
They've also added
absolutely,
things since I've
yeah.
last looked at this. So, this is anybody that has followed on Tabletop for a while and watched Jerry's Let's Play videos. This is the metal measuring sticks that he uses in those games. I haven't bought a set of these yet, but make no mistake, I am buying a set of these. They will not ship directly to Australia, so you will have to actually use a postage redirection service, but that's neither here nor there. So, what these actually are metal measuring sticks. So if you... Sure, we all have a table... We all have a measuring device.
But what did I say earlier in this episode, Bruce?
Yep.
You get the cheap Chinese one that, you lose a 1/16 of an inch or gain a 1/16 of an inch every inch because it's poor quality control and cheaply made.
So, there's a couple of different ways that you can buy these. I mean, obviously, yes, you can buy the 25mm and inch ones, but you also have 30mm sets, 40mm sets, which, to be fair, I've rarely seen anybody using in rule sets, but I know that there are rule sets out there that do it in those increments. Like, there are some games where they measure by the size of the base and not an actual measurement, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one I'm going to open is the alternating inch set limited edition. Just because this is the pretty one. So this is £14. And what you'll notice is that these all screw together. So not only can you have them look all pretty and one is brass, one is silver, one is brass, one is silver, but you can make it whatever size you want it to be. If you want to just have a 2-inch measure, then you can just have a 2-inch measure. If you want to have a full 12-inch rule, you can. Or you can have 2 separate 6s or whatever you want. I'm not going to lie, I kind of love the idea of having like 2 6s and a 12. Or like just having the ones that are for my particular army.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just go, okay, so that's there, that's there.
So the one thing that I love about this, and this is why I said I like this a lot, is look at the armies that I have for 40K and Sigmar.
Yep.
They're a melee army. I want to get my wolf in and my Thunderwolf cavalry. I want to get them in close and fast and melee weapons, fire slayers. I want to be able to charge, right?
Yep.
And measuring charge distance with the tape measure, like trying to get in there with a tape measure and like measure from model to model without touching your models, touching your opponent's models. You take a stick that is 6 inches, your charge distance, and just roll in there. If it touches, guess what? You're in charge distance.
Yep.
If it doesn't
if you want to move in, but you want to stay an inch away, you can just put one of those things in between the model and just make sure that you are literally an inch away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just take it out from in between them. Which, yes, you can do with this as well. It's not quite as easy to do, though. I mean, we all have that one person where, like, you're out by a mill and they'll turn out and go, oh, no, but you're out by a mill. That means that I could do this thing that you didn't want me to do. So, you know what I was trying to do. I measured it right in front of you, and you agreed, and now you're going to do that. Like, it's just, like, we all know that person. Now, granted, that could happen with this too, because when you pull the measure stick out from under it, you could nudge it a little bit, but...
Yeah.
Also, like, if you have that person, don't play with that person. Don't reward them.
Yeah. But then again, too,
this.
it's a lot easier with this this is an inch. Look, everything's touching here. All right, all right. And then it's like there's no question either. Like later on, if it's like, oh well, this is a couple mils off. Okay, but when we set this up, these were touching. Like
So you can also buy. I've opened this separately. That the alternating inch set right next to it is the same thing, but it's just it's without like the gnarled. Is it gnarled?
The knurling.
Knurling. Thank you.
Knurling.
And there is actually like a slight gradient where they screw together, so you will actually end up with a line in between them. So if you don't want like the brass silver, you could just get a brass set or just the stainless silver set.
It's
You
aluminum.
can actually. Is it aluminum? Is it?
It's aluminum. Yeah, I already looked at that. And I really love the fact that they do have two different colors, because then it's a very distinctive, like,
That's what I want.
one. Yeah, it's very, it stands out.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like I said, as simple as this is, it's brilliant because, what's the other issue you have too with when you pull out your tape measure, Bruce?
After a while, they stop holding.
Well, and pull it out too far.
Well, yeah, that too.
So now, granted,
That and
making a
because these aren't designed for our hobby, these all have movement here because they are designed for woodworking. And this is actually, like, your tape measure is supposed to do this.
yeah,
It's not
the
actually an
end
error.
moves as much as the thickness, so that when you measure on the outside, you stretch it out, but then when you measure on the inside, it smushes in to account for the thickness of the end that grabs on.
So, for those of you that are not aware of what this actually is, if you're measuring and you have to be actually accurate, you should be making sure that this is pushed in as far as it'll go, not out as far as it'll go, because technically you're cheating by like a fraction of an inch if you have it out.
So
Not big enough difference that it'll make a difference in the game.
yeah. But the other thing too is like, if you get yourself one really good, nice set, like, and the thing is,
Like I
you
said,
have multiple links.
I've had this bookmarked for about 12 months. I am buying this at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I also like the fact that you can buy it in sections. So, because they come in sets of like 12 inches, right? Which is fine.
Mhm.
But maybe I want to divide that into 2 lots of 6. So I can buy the end sections so that they are complete and there's not holes in the end or the screws in the end. So that I can actually make my own actual sets. It's just glorious. There is actually a second page too. Like I said, they've actually added stuff to this recently.
Oh, okay.
So you can buy a half aluminium set. You can buy a full aluminium set. You can buy a full brass set. You'll find that brass is cheaper than the aluminium too. Or aluminum for you guys over there. Because I know that you...
Actually, if you look at the spelling, we do pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, I know. Which is ironic, because you guys get teased over saying it wrong all the time. Also,
Socks,
you guys actually pronounce it the way that the
think?
guy invented it said.
Right, exactly. That's you.
Socks, you're muted.
I think it's a great concept. I don't know. I probably coughed and didn't realize I still had it muted.
You've went to speak a couple of times and nothing you've said has come through for a little
All
while.
right. Well, I like it. So it's a cool concept because you're absolutely right. I mean, we know these tape measures can be.
Oh look,
not
tape
printed right.
measures are fine, but they are not the perfect tool.
Correct.
Because they're not designed for what we do. I mean, they're designed for something that's
Mm-hmm.
arguably more important to be accurate than what we do. But because they're not designed
True.
for what we do, there is issues there.
Yeah, but we've always had that issue of the 3 to 4 inch holding at the end of it, plus the tape, and you're always trying to put your hand in the middle of it.
People that don't understand how these are used, thinking that this is an error.
Yeah, well, I'm
used
also
to
talking
think
about
that, just for the record. I'm not having a go. I used to think that was a mistake too.
Yeah, well, not just that, but the actual part that you hold in your hand too is that part can get. It's hard to sometimes measure in between models because you're having to hold that above a miniature or a couple of miniatures, and so whereas this you could put it right in the middle of the two and hold it with your hand, two fingers.
Actually, real quick, technically, if you do know what you're doing, you can just set down the entire tape measure, because if you look on your tape measure, Bruce, it'll tell you how wide your tape measure is to account for so you can just stick it in there and measure an inside distance.
No, it doesn't.
Not all
Yes,
of them
it
do.
does.
No, mine doesn't. Not all of them do.
Really?
No,
If
mine
it's-
is a really cheap one.
I was gonna say if it's of any sort of quality, like
Yeah, the Stanley ones will because they
A
are
good
designed to be
quality
a
one,
certain
yeah.
size.
yeah,
I haven't. Hands up, somebody that's dropped their tape measure on the table. Because this is the other problem. If you don't buy the cheap ones, they will break everything they touch. Even
It's
this would probably still break some miniatures. I had a big chunky Stanley one because I wanted a quality one that would last. I used it once and I never touched it again.
But you're afraid of dropping it over or holding it above models.
Which is why I never used it ever again. I broke some very expensive things.
Where'd my Stanley go? They make small ones now.
Yeah.
Never mind what-
True.
Hang on, I will grab one of mine. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's not Stanley though.
It looks like a Stanley. It's
Common.
the right colour. Yeah.
Yeah,
Socks on yours. Does it tell you how wide your tape measure is?
that's what I'm looking
length
for
of
right
it.
now. 3 inches. It's hard to tell, but it says on there 3 inches.
Yeah, mine doesn't. Mine says how wide the blade is.
So, also, quick tip: if you use magnetic storage and your case is metal, and you want to store everything in your case, so you're just carrying one thing, take the clip off the back of your tape measure, glue a magnet onto it, and then just slap it into your box.
Yes.
That is such a good idea.
But don't throw away the belt clip, because the belt clips are typically steel. So then you actually put the belt clip on your belt, and then you can just stick it with the magnet to your belt while you're playing.
I like that idea.
But that being said, I think these are just awesome, just because, like, I'm just gonna throw this out here: Armoured Clash and Dystopian Wars with that steampunk vibe, rolling out a metal
Yes.
rod measuring
Yeah,
tool,
that
like,
would be cool.
that makes you look like you are below me, peasant. I have metal measuring rods.
And like there's quite a few companies out there that do like acrylic ones, and they can be really nice as well, especially if you actually like do them up with like your crayons and whatever. But pulling out like who doesn't want something premium in their wargaming hobby?
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to throw this out too because I just remembered this. Some games, you are only permitted to measure the distance that you are shooting or charging. You are not permitted to measure more than that.
True.
And
So you
what
can
do
actually
people
make sure
try
that
to
nobody
do?
Yeah.
What do people try to do when they try to get that extra inch out? Like, oh, I'm an inch short. You're not supposed to do that in some games because it explicitly says if you have something like this, where you have this rod, you set it down like this is my shooting range. Oh, don't touch them, out of range. Yes, you have a little bit of a visual cue, but you can't get, like screw another piece, be like, oh, I'm an inch short. No, you can't do that.
That's a
so
good
this
shout,
could be a good tool of stopping some, inadvertent cheating.
Yep. Given the weight of some of this, like especially because this is all in the UK, like ordering something like this in, you're probably not going to be getting a cheap postage. Like I said, I can't buy this. If I buy this and have it shipped to me, I have to get it shipped to a postal courier service and get them to redirect it, which is fine. That is 100% what I'll do at some point. I would be saying you want to buy a couple of sets of these. Like you do one ship or do a group buy with some friends, and then you set up your measuring rules to be the common sizes that you need for the army. Maybe not everything.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe one of them is 12 inches long. But if you buy a couple of them, then you have one that's that 6 inch for your shoot, or your 8 inch for your shoot, or whatever it is. It would just make your life easier.
Yep.
So there we go.
The one thing I could say is, be a little more specific about how big some of these pieces are and how many pieces do come with.
That's fair.
I'm looking at this all. I'm looking at the alternating inch limited set.
Yeah.
Dimensions 80 by 60 by 10 millimeters. It's an inch set, so
Yeah. So
what is that in inches? Like I'm buying inches here.
That is fair. Also, in saying that, that must be the size of the package. Because 80 mil is not an inch, 60 mil is not an inch, 10 mil is not an inch.
Right,
That's
yeah.
the size
Like
of the parcel that they're sending you.
Yeah, like so. Like there's a lot of missing information here. Like this 25 millimeter
All
DBM
you have to
15
do is
mil.
look at, this is a very small company.
Cream, glue, prime, paint.
What have you been up to, George?
Not a whole heck of a lot.
That's not acceptable. I asked you what you've been up to. You're supposed to have prepared something.
Well, the thing is too is what I've been busy doing has had nothing to do with hobby.
Disappointing.
We've been getting Casey's office ready to become a birthing room. So
Yeah.
Fun. So your hobby has been house hobby, not table hobby.
yeah, my hobby has been getting ready for puppies. Yes.
Fun.
Makes sense.
What about you, Socks? I know you said that you haven't done a lot, but
Look what's back there in the corner.
hang on, we can't see it.
So, I got my hubby's own shelves.
It looks like that.
It doesn't look like yours. I wish I had some more modules because you're absolutely right. So yeah, like you guys know, I bought my 3 paint shelves and then a paint rack. I put them all together a couple weeks ago. Put all my paints in there, and yeah, I wish I had known to buy a couple boxes for underneath the shelves because that bottom tilt shelf doesn't work very well. I mean, I'll make do with it for now.
I think we gave you the perfect answer for that. Like seriously, get a plank of wood and put it underneath it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been busy with master's degree through my Air Force schooling. I'm in the middle of midterms right now, so I'm writing papers.
Excuses.
So
I've been busy writing papers like I'm a businessman.
Okay, if you want to write my military theory paper, come. I would be happy for you to do that.
No,
There's a reason why I'm in I don't know. I will have to say at a certain age of in interest of following military conflict, even the average person who studied history could probably do all right in a master's program for history. Because I mean, it's just history. If you pay attention to it and learn it,
yeah,
But
this is understanding
Socks
why.
doesn't need to be writing about how many crayons were eaten during the Battle of 1914.
No,
actually, no, that wasn't a thing yet because crayons hadn't been invented yet. World War II, yes. There's a reason why the flag was raised on Mount Suribachi out of Iwo Jima is because they took 24 packs, slammed them down, charged that hill, and the Japanese were like, "Whoa, we can't handle this."
What you been up to, Bruce?
I finally finished building my gnomes, and they are glorious.
Nice.
None of them are painted yet. People will know, I've mentioned this already, I've kind of been recovering from a motorcycle accident because somebody ran a stop sign through my motorbike. So I've been kind of limited in how much I could do for quite a while. And then, last episode, I was like, I kind of feel okay. I think I should be okay to try and do some hobby now. But motivation just hasn't been... My mind has been everywhere else. I just haven't had the motivation for it just because of everything else that I've been dealing with. It just hasn't been what's been important to me. So, my attention has been elsewhere. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just admitting that that's been the problem. So yeah, I've done. Otherwise, I've spent quite a bit of time working on my Entropy City documents. So going through editing certain rules. I went through kind of like my plan for the product if it becomes a product and how I want to see the releases done if it gets to that point. I just like trying to plan as much for the future as I can, pretty much. Because, well, you've got to have a plan.
Yep.
Is it quite a business plan? No, because the product doesn't exist yet. But it's trying to plan for what will hopefully be a business one day. We'll see. I did a new logo that I will try. I'm just trying to think if there's a way I can bring it up. Yes, there is. Because I redid the logo for one of the factions. And I was really happy with how it looks. So I want to go into here, and the logo is there. There we go. So I know you're not going to see it for you guys there, but for the people at home... So what I'm looking at is the new updated Hades logo. If you go into the Entropy City thing on Discord, you'll see it, which is where it's the two fists, and it looks more like an actual biker's patch, as opposed to where it was just kind of the fist with flames behind it previously. Mm-hmm. This is still very much placeholder. Like, this is not... I've borrowed a lot of assets to do this. It's just, and like, this is my idea of what the logo could be. But it kind of, to me, feels more like an actual faction now than just the Flaming Fist. I had initially had a thought of 3 fists, because, Cerberus for Hades has 3 heads, and I kind of did that, and the only way that it made sense, but the 3 fists had some problems, let's just say that. Because the only way to make sense with the 3rd fist was to have the fist going up, and that has some problematic problems with history, that particular signage. So I'm not going in that direction.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. So, but I'm kind of like, it kind of feels like what could be a gang sign. Or somebody walking out in the wrestling going, I don't know.
So
I'm very happy.
What additional thing I could say you could do, Bruce, that would make this just pop that much more?
Yep.
Give them some knuckle tattoos.
Yes, I have actually given thought to that. They had originally had some jewelry. There was the version of this where they had like a Cerberus ring, and I just didn't like it. But I'm currently working on my idea for what that... my idea is that, like, because quite frequently you get like this love-hate type thing, right? On fists, because it's a cliche. Because movies, I guess. Or hurt help is one that the wrestler had on their gloves at one point. My theory is having something on the knuckles that sounds like it should be inspirational, but could also really be twisted to not be. Like pride, for example, can be really, really empowering, but pride can also be very problematic as well. But I haven't decided what they are going to be. It's an idea for later.
Well, I already have an idea. Just put Hades on the knuckles, right? And then that leaves you with 3 open knuckles. Right? So then do like a little symbol, like a cross, like, a satanic cross upside down. And then MC. For motorcycle club.
True. I hadn't thought of that. Actually, that's more simple than my idea was.
Bruce can have this idea. I do not hold any power over it. It is his now.
My idea initially was I need to find some things that represent what Hades is about. But it's like,
just do the name.
It literally could just say Hades. That's actually a very good point.
Yeah, just Because think about it, right? You know, like motorcycle clubs or gangs and stuff, right? You know,
Yeah.
what happens when when you're no longer like a pledge and you're the actual gang member? You get the patch. You usually get a tattoo or something like that. So these guys, when they get their, you know, their jacket, right? They get Hades on the knuckles, you know, with the upside down cross, and then MC, you know, like boom, Hades MC,
Yeah.
right?
The cross is
That's
not
your
going to be
idea
part of it, though. I will say that. That's not happening.
That's your idea now, Bruce. So.
Yeah.
Oh
Cool.
my God. I'm going to send this to you guys. I just found some knuckle tattoos. This is straight up like the biggest nerd thing I've seen.
Okay.
Maybe I just do it here. There you go, Bruce. Look in your Entropy City chat.
That doesn't help.
Oh, because you can't look right now.
No,
Socks,
'cause
go
I'm
look at the
recording.
Entropy City chat.
Put it in the group chat.
For the
It's so that is cool.
on
Very
Messenger.
nerdish. Yes, I have to agree. Very nerdy.
I want to see it.
There, can you see it now?
NCC 171D.
All right, hang on. I want that. It's just so dumb. In the best way. But it's so dumb. If this is your tattoo, I applaud you with how silly this is.
Talk nerdy to me.
I started to lose consciousness there. I was laughing so much.
Have you played the bumper?
Yes.
Learning versus practicing how to paint.
Yes. Now, my question for you guys so far is, are you confused by what I mean by this?
No, I am not at all.
Is that a nod, no, you're not? Or yes, you are, Socks?
I understand.
Yeah, okay. So, for those that are not, like, learning how to paint is not something that's easy.
Nope.
Some people find it naturally easy. That's not the same thing. Some people find it naturally very easy to sing, as opposed to others that have to fight very hard to learn that skill. It is a skill that you can learn. But watching videos and learning how to paint isn't the same thing as learning and practicing how to paint. Largely because, and I think this is something that new people struggle with quite a lot. It's like, I've watched all of these videos and I try to do this. Why does mine not look like yours does? Like the whole Homer with his barbecue not looking the way that the picture does. And it's because a large part of learning and practicing how to paint is learning muscle memory, among other things. It's all well and good for me to tell you how to drive. But telling you how to drive doesn't teach you how to drive. It just gives you a knowledge of how it works.
Well, and then I'll throw in an extra little caveat to your analogy there, which I think is great. Also, I drive on the left, you drive on the right. So, like, there's still just, even as simple as that is, it gets further and further down. I would even argue the same as, it's like handwriting. I have atrocious handwriting. I have atrocious handwriting, and I'm left-handed. So if you can read what I write down, good luck. And then there's some people where it's like they write better than machines can print from a preloaded font.
Yep.
Yes.
Like, it's just how it is.
My handwriting is notoriously shocking and notoriously really good. It depends on how quick I'm being at the time.
Bruce, I just sent you a post in the Facebook chat. So you guys saw on my hobby, or in the pictures when I posted them, that I was done with my shelving, talking about I should get a red grass wet palette. Well, I just posted their ergonomic painting handle.
Oh yes.
Being able to have one of these tools will definitely help you as well.
I agree.
Because,
actually, 100%.
And
In
I'm actually
saying that, you don't have to have this one. There's actually cheaper ways of doing this too.
Yes. So you can get just regular old paint bottles and just stick it on there if you have stuff.
Old paint
I've
bottles.
seen people do it.
Corks from wine bottles. If you're a wine person, just keep them.
Yep.
And just super glue. Oh, not super glue. Blue tack them down. A thick piece of dowel that's comfortable in the hand. Just cut it to the right sizes. Stick magnets on the bottom of them. Put them on a tray. Just back and forth. You can buy MDF kits to build up your own. I don't really like those personally.
If you have access to a 3D printer, you can even print some as well.
Yep.
Correct. So I'm thinking about getting some of these just because of the swappable heads.
Yeah.
Yep. I will say this, Sox. There are many different options, and I only mention and pimp the Redgrass wet pellet because I don't think there's a better one on the market. With what they've decided to charge for some of their other stuff, I will look elsewhere for other accessories.
I think this painting handle is actually quite affordable, personally. But I know that that's not the one you're talking about.
Oh, no.
No, you're talking about the
that being said, that being said, I've seen at least 3 or 4 other manufacturers of a handle essentially like this.
Oh, they wasn't the first to do this. They wasn't even close to the first to do this.
So, the other difference between learning and practicing is once you've learned to do something, you do have this nugget of skill up here. It's buried somewhere.
Yep.
And to quote Sherlock Holmes, Benedict Cumberbatch, you got to go through the Mind Palace and find it. Once you have it, though, it's there, it's yours. And then if you don't paint for a year and you come back, unless you're a very talented artist, which, that's not everyone, you're going to suck again. But you'll get better so much faster because it's already there. Yeah. So, and that's the same thing with practicing. Like learning versus practicing, relearning it, but practicing just makes you better and better and better and better because it gets so ingrained into your mind that you start to improve on what where you're failing versus the tutorial, and you can make that change and make it better.
Yeah.
And this goes with a lot of different aspects of the hobby. Like, for some people, it's fine detail. For some people, it is as simple as something like dry brushing. Lord knows, dry brushing is an easy technique. That doesn't make it easy, though. For people out there that are trying to learn skills and are getting frustrated with themselves because they're doing everything that the video tells them to do and it just isn't working, you're not the problem. I mean, to some extent, yes, your body is failing you. You are the problem. But no, you are not the problem. The problem is that it's a practiced skill and it will take time to practice. You can watch all of the videos most people can watch all of the videos they like learning how to play something on guitar. It doesn't mean that they can pick up the guitar and learn how to play it the moment that they finish watching the video. Some people are just insane talents. Some people can play every sport under the sun for the first time. But that is not what we're talking about here. So that's where I was coming from the learning versus practicing, because there is a difference, and it's a difference that I don't think a lot of people really think about very much.
Well, I think the relearning needs to be kind of a median in there, because I don't know how many times I've seen posted in a group so I just got back into the hobby after 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, a lot of painting techniques have been developed, discovered, refined in the last 10 years. So 1, you've forgotten how to paint like you did. 2, things have changed so much. But then there's that third of, when you go to relearn it, you've already got that starting base. I mean, you don't count on this question, Bruce, because you ride the motorized version. Socks, when was the last time you rode a bike?
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this earlier.
It's been a few years.
Right? But if I showed up...
It'd be
if I showed
25
up and
years
said,
for
hey,
me.
Well, you don't count because you're on a motorcycle, and the concepts are,
I have ridden a push
balance...
bike, which is what you're talking about.
I know, but it's like... But you rode a motorcycle last week, so it doesn't count.
It was less than that.
Yeah. but if I were to show up and just say, hey, let's go on a bike ride, guys, no one's going to have a problem. Like, the first, couple of feet, like a little nervous, but once you're moving back into it, it's just like, it's there.
Once you know how to ride the bike, I'm not going to say it's second nature, because if I was to get on a bike tomorrow, push bike, then there would be that moment of hesitation of, but once you start going, you'll feel fine again, because it'll feel maybe not so much natural, but it'll feel like it all comes back to you. Painting does work in a similar manner, where once you're going, it's not going to be something that you will get back instantly. Muscle memory doesn't necessarily work that way, but it won't take you as long to relearn it as it did to learn it the first time around.
Right. And that's just why I'm mentioning it in this learning versus practicing, because also, depends on how much you practice, and then if you have to relearn again, it's going to come back that much quicker because you already have all that extra practice.
100%.
The most important thing is just patience, because when you're learning, you got to be patient to learn it. If you're relearning it, you still got to be patient. If you're practicing, you've got to be patient because you're refining, you're getting better.
And this is the thing that I think a lot of people don't like to hear as well, because everybody wants to get to that end goal, and they don't want to do the work to get there. And I'm not having a go. This is human nature. But you can't eliminate the practice. Like you are just going to have to spend that time getting better. Somebody says this quite regularly, and I can't think who it was. It's one of the big YouTubers anyway. When you're painting, you're not trying to paint to be better than the last miniature that you looked at. You're trying to paint to be better than the last miniature you painted. I highly recommend for people to do the thing that I wish I had have done. Keep your first miniature. Keep the earliest miniatures that you have if you don't have your first miniature. And don't repaint over them. Keep them as something you can look back at so that you can actually see your progress. Because the problem is that people don't see their progression unless they've got something to compare it with. I've got some Malifaux minis here in the cupboard that today I will look at and go, oh, I really don't. I was really proud of them at the time. I mean, there are some of them that I'm still very proud of. But I won't paint over them because it's an example of, yes, this is how you've improved. Unless I looked at them, I wouldn't see it. Because it happens slowly over time. If you're trying to lose weight, you don't notice that you've lost weight every day. Unless you're doing something extremely unhealthy. But when you look back at pictures of you 6 months ago, you will go, oh, I actually have done a lot better than I thought I did. Because when things happen slowly over time, you don't notice the difference so much. When it comes to things like fine detail, that's probably the one that will take the longest. As much as I avoid doing this, green stuff, I avoid using green stuff like the plague because I have no skill with it. I'm somewhat scared of it because I just don't have skill. I mean, scared is not the right word, but I also avoid it like the plague, which means that I will never get that skill because I don't make an effort to. If I made an effort to learn, I probably would be decent with green stuff by now. I just don't, which is not the right attitude to have, but don't be me, I guess. So that's it. Kind of very much aimed at the newbies, but at the same time, I think it's a lesson that we all kind of need sometimes, because we're all shocking for it, expecting things to just be easy. I guess.
Yeah. Yep. It's one of those things too, where like a lot of people, they have friends, right? Good friends that they do this hobby with.
Yep.
And you got to remember this too. People have different, abilities, like we were talking about earlier in this subject. You and your buddy could sit down and start working on the same technique at the same time.
Yep.
And, my dry brushing has, gotten pretty good over 4 or 5 years of doing this. And I show Sam in the first few minis he's doing, like this is how you dry brush it to build the layers up. Next thing you know, his 7th mini, he's like nailing it perfect for the, color shading layering with dry brushing. Like,
yeah. But if you was teaching
Sure.
Sam and one of his friends at the same time, it's possible that his friend won't progress that quickly, because maybe his friend doesn't have that skill set.
That's what I was saying. Was it took me many, many years
Yeah.
to develop it like it is, and he had it down in like 45 minutes.
Yep.
So that's where I was going with that.
Yeah, I know.
50% shot of like the same stuff, and now he's got better art skills than I do. So
Yeah.
Yep. Every so often there'll be a post that goes up in one of the Facebook groups of, this is my first miniature. I don't know if it's any good or not. And some of them are very clearly false posts of people that are just saying this to get attention. But every so often, one of those posts will be legitimately somebody's first miniature, and you're like, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, but this is much better than my first miniature was.
I have legitimately seen in person some of those people where the guy literally
So have
came in, playing Magic the Gathering, and he's just like, "Oh, well, I'll get into this. This seems really cool. Like, like moving beyond the card game, looking for more strategy. And he, bought his little 5 Tyranid thing, and then he got, some more Tyranids, and all of a sudden it's just like, they look like photographs from National Geographic of actual bugs. Like, really, dude, come on."
Yeah, it is one of those things. I had a friend, Rebecca, that's no longer in the hobby, but some of her first miniatures were on the same level as what I was painting at the time, or maybe slightly behind, and it was legitimately the first miniatures that she'd ever painted, and I knew this for a fact. But she did have artistic things from elsewhere that has obviously helped her with that as well. And again, some people are just naturally talented. It is a thing.
Mhm.
Something that people don't like, but it is a thing. Let us discuss.
I wouldn't say like, more of infuriates.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
So we are starting with the Yinza Planetario 2024. This is a 300-point Infinity tournament. And whoever it is that came up with that name, I will hate you forever.
What, Yinzer?
The Planetario thing. Trying to figure out how I was supposed to say it was very difficult.
Yinzer is a regional slang in Pennsylvania for a blue-collar worker.
Ah, okay. I kind of like that. I actually, I like that. That's really cool. 24th of August at 9 o'clock at Fabricators Forge Gaming Club, which is at Coraopolis in Pennsylvania. I'm saying it wrong. Oh well. Melbourne Figures Painters Collective is meeting next Sunday at 12 o'clock at the Gaming Arena in Coburg. They're from 12 till 5. Blaze in the Northern Suburbs is a 12,000 point Warhammer tournament taking place on the 15th of September at 10 o'clock at the Axes Nails Thornsbury Bowls Club. $30 entry for 3 rounds. Firestorm Games Dropfleet Commander version 2 tournament. This is the first chance anybody will have to play 2nd edition. To the point where, when I mentioned this story last time, we had somebody reach out and go, how did you find out about this? Because nobody's supposed to have early events. They're not happening. It's literally the first time it's happening. And we did find out how it's happening, so that's fine. 28th of September, and it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning at Sloper Road in Cardiff. So this is someone that's actually like quite close to TT Combat. That's why it's happening. It's kind of an event where they can kind of test things at the last minute. Tickets at £25 online or £26 in store. It's a 1,000 point narrative event. And last but not least, PAX Australia is coming up from the 11th till the 13th of October. So that's Friday through till Sunday. For those that are in Australia, should I organise to do something on the Sunday? Let me know. I've already said a couple of times why I'm asking that question, but I am officially asking the question, should I do something on the Sunday, and what should I do? Should I just go to one of the restaurants? Should I do something else? I'm not demoing Entropy City this time, so I actually have this like as a full, I can actually do things, so let me know.
He's gonna do things.
I am. I'm actually going to enjoy myself this time. I will hopefully bring the game there again, but I want it to get closer to being finished before I do that. Thank you very much to Valhalla Hobby for sponsoring the podcast. Valhalla Hobby are a gaming store in Verona, Wisconsin. Wait, Wisconsin? Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yes.
I was doubting
Wisconsin.
I was doubting my American knowledge there for a second. They have a real passion for the indie side of this business, as do we. It's how we connected up initially. I mean, yes, they have all of your Warhammer stuff. They have all of your Dungeons and Dragons, your Magic, the Gatherings. They do have all of those products. They do sell all of those products. But they also have a huge range of the indie scene and the niche games. They have all of your dystopian wars. They will have Armoured Clash when it arrives. They have your Bushido. They have your weird miniatures. They have your Blackside Studios stuff. Like, they have a whole range of the smaller side of the business. They have Dropfleet Commander. When it will be coming, they will have that as well. Their prices are really, really good. Check them out, valhallahobby.com. We have used them for our own purchases. Well, I mean, I haven't because I don't live in the US. But both of these guys have purchased things.
Shipping's a little tricky for you, probably.
Shipping would be fine. I would just pay more in shipping than I would be saving, which would be silly.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Please support the people that support us. If you use the code TABLED at checkout, you get 5% off your first order over $100. So please support them. Let them know that we sent you. Where can people find us, George?
People can find us at patreon.com/gettingtable. $2 a month. You get early access to the video version of the podcast and any other video we publish. Patreon.com/gettingtabled. We have a website, gettingtabled.com. Facebook, where most of the posts go to let you know that we've done something and have something to show you, is facebook.com/gettingtabled. Then, of course, the video version of this podcast we found over at youtube.com/gettingtabled. Please give us a like and subscribe. Questions, comments, tournaments, anything you want us to talk about, anything you want to tell us about, email us at gettingtabled@gmail.com. X, Instagram, Threads, all at Getting Tabled. Got them all. I think. I don't think there's anything we missed for Getting Tabled at this point. Bruce has got a casual Twitch stream. Twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce. Probably hasn't been doing that too much with a bum arm.
I thought about it a few times this week, but no, I haven't.
And then if you love watching Bruce and can't get enough of him, you can also find him over on youtube.com/toyreel.
Which is similar sort of format to this, but action figures. Also not so much a podcast, but yeah. Anything from you, Socks?
I'm hoping to get some painting done on my Carthaginians and Romans once my midterm papers are done.
We expect them all to be done by next episode. All fine detail as
Yep.
well.
All 3,000 miniatures?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to do the eyeballs too, and they can't look like Clarence eyeballs either.
I mean, if George has to do his dots, then you have to do your eyeballs. It's only fair.
All right, fair enough.
George, anything else from you?
No.
Cool. And nothing else from me. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.
Purple crayons taste like Kool-Aid.